In 2014, Barcelona did something that seemed impossible. They brought together three of the best attackers on the planet and put them in the same team. Messi, Suarez, Neymar, the MSN.
In desperate need of a goal. They go for the...
Oh my goodness!
A forward line that, together, produced numbers so absurd that most fans still struggle to believe they were real.
A brilliant comeback from Neymar.
116 goals, 48 assists, 164 direct goal contributions across all competitions in a single season.
Suarez, ahí está. Suarez!
For context, that is more than many entire teams managed to score in a full campaign. For 10 years, that trio stood on a pedestal no one could reach, the benchmark against which every other attacking trio would be measured, and none came close. Until now. Because at Bayern Munich, something is happening. Kane, Diaz, Olise, the DKO. A season that is not yet finished, and the numbers are already asking questions nobody expected to be asking this soon.
Kane is going to go for it. Has he beaten Suarez?
Today, we are going to attempt to answer the boldest question in modern football. Could Bayern have built a forward line that rivals the MSN? To understand what the DKO is trying to match, we first need to understand what the MSN actually represented. And it is not enough to say they were three great players. What made the MSN unique was the way the three of them complemented each other in a way that was almost impossible to design on paper. The Barcelona of Luis Enrique in 2014. 2015 was built around a simple but devastating idea.
Henry, Messi. Magical!
Give the three best attackers in the world the freedom to express themselves and let the rest of the team provide the platform. Sergio Busquets controlled the tempo from deep. Dani Alves and Jordi Alba stretched the pitch from fullback. Ivan Rakitic and Xavi connected the midfield. Everything was designed to serve the front three, and the front three repaid that service in full. Messi was the gravitational axis of everything. 43 goals and 18 assists in La Liga alone. 1.63 goal contributions per 90 minutes on the pitch. A number that, on its own, would be enough to win the Ballon d'Or in most seasons. But Messi was not just a scorer. He was the creator, the carrier, the player who dropped deep to receive the ball and then played passes that nobody else could see. He was the reason defenders could not commit to stopping Suarez or Neymar, because the moment they did, Messi would punish them. Suarez was the revelation of the season. He arrived at Barcelona serving a suspension for biting Chiellini at the World Cup. And when he finally took the pitch in October 2014, he was devastating from the first minute. 25 goals and 18 assists across all competitions. A classic center forward, but with movement, pressing intensity, and an ability to combine with teammates in tight spaces that few number 9s in history have matched. Suarez made runs that created space for Messi. He held up play that allowed Neymar to arrive late into the box. His intelligence was as important as his finishing. And then there was Neymar. 48 goals and 12 assists across all competitions. The third piece of a trio, but with numbers that any club in the world would dream of from a single player.
He's got it back, and he's scored again!
Fast, unpredictable, capable of dribbling through entire defensive lines, and capable of delivering the final ball with precision. Neymar was also 22 years old that season. What we were watching was not a finished product. It was a generational talent in the early stages of what would become one of the great careers in football history. Together, the MSN produced 164 direct goal contributions across all competitions. And they did it in a season where Barcelona also won the Champions League, La Liga, and the Copa del Rey. The perfect treble. That is the benchmark. Bayern Munich arrived at the DKO almost by accident. There was no master plan of, let us build the best attacking trio in the world. There was, instead, a series of brave decisions that, in hindsight, looked like they were drawn up by someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Kane arrived in 2023, after more than a decade at Tottenham scoring goals that never converted into trophies.
For Bayern, that is classic Harry Kane!
The question was simple. What happens when you put the best pure center forward in the world into a team that actually knows how to win? The answer is being written this season. Olise arrived in 2024, coming through Crystal Palace to Bayern. An attacking midfielder with a vision for the game that is rare in this generation. Quick to read play, capable of both creating and finishing. with a positional freedom that Vincent Kompany knew how to use from day one. And Diaz, the Colombian who built his reputation at Liverpool as a pressing winger with high technical quality. At Bayern, he found a different environment, more structured, more positional. But he adapted. 3 different players, 3 distinct profiles. And together, something that is starting to make sense in a way few predicted. The fairest individual comparison we can make between the 2 trios starts with their center forwards. Because both Suarez and Kane define their teams in the same fundamental way. As the offensive reference point, the player the other 2 feed, the one who converts. Suarez in 2015 scored 25 goals across all competitions. On the surface, that number might not seem historically exceptional, but consider the context. He was playing alongside Messi, which means that a significant portion of the chances that in other teams would fall to the center forward were instead created with the Argentine in mind. Suarez had to carve out his space, his moments, his opportunities within a system that revolved around someone else. And he did it with 25 goals and 18 assists, a total involvement of 43 direct contributions across all competitions. Kane, in 2025-2026, has 59 goals across all competitions with the season not yet finished. 59. It is a number that requires you to stop and reread it. Even in a Bayern side that creates chances in abundance, the efficiency and volume that Kane has produced this season places him in a category that very few strikers in the history of the game have ever reached in a single campaign. But there is an important nuance here. Suarez was not just a scorer. His 18 assists across all competitions show a player who actively participated in the construction of play, who dropped into midfield zones to link passages, who created as much as he finished. Kane, with 7 assists, is a purer 9. His value lies almost entirely in his positioning and finishing inside the box. That is not a weakness. It is a deliberate design. Bayern built the DKO knowing that Olise and Diaz would carry the creative burden, freeing Kane to do the one thing he does better than almost anyone who has ever played the game. In the chapter of pure finishing, Kane wins this comparison by a significant margin. In the chapter of total involvement in the game, Suarez offered a different and arguably broader contribution. The 2 are distinct case studies in what an elite center forward can be, and both, in their own season, were exceptional. And then there is the question we have been carefully avoiding: Messi. Because comparing any individual player directly to Messi is a losing battle from the start. The Argentine is not a point of comparison. He is a category of his own. So the most honest analysis we can make is to look at the wide players of both trios as a collective unit and ask, how do the supporting casts measure up? In the MSN, the 2 players surrounding Messi, Suarez and Neymar, produced 73 goals and 30 assists across all competitions. 103 direct goal contributions. 2 players carrying the pressure of playing alongside the best footballer of all time, and doing it with numbers that would be exceptional in any other team on the planet. In the DKO, Kane and Diaz have produced 87 goals and 26 assists across all competitions. 113 direct contributions, with the season still incomplete. And if we bring Olise into the picture, who in the DKO plays a role closer to Messi's in the MSN, as the creative and offensive organizer, the full trio numbers reach 109 goals and 52 assists for 161 direct goal contributions across all competitions. The MSN, across a full season, had 164. The DKO, with games still to play, has 161. The gap is 3 contributions, with an unfinished season. But it would be dishonest to stop at the numbers, because context matters and ignoring it would be poor analysis. The MSN operated in a La Liga in 2014-2015 that was arguably the most competitive domestic league in the world at the time. The Real Madrid of Ronaldo, Benzema, and Bale were at their absolute peak. Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone were one of the most defensively organized sides in European football. Sevilla, Valencia, and Athletic Club were all genuinely difficult opponents. And Barcelona, with the MSN, won the title with 94 points, which tells you something about the level they were operating at. The Bundesliga, in 2025-2026, while a high-level competition with genuine European pedigree, has historically had a slightly larger quality gap between the top and the rest of the table compared to La Liga. This does not invalidate the DKO's numbers, but it is a variable that honest analysis has to acknowledge. There is also the question of the managers. Luis Enrique built the 2014-2015 Barcelona specifically to maximize what the MSN could produce. Every structural decision, the fullbacks pushing high, Busquets anchoring deep, the press designed to win the ball back quickly, was in service of the front three. Vincent Kompany has done something similar at Bayern. The DKO does not play in a system that is incidental to their success. They play in a system that was designed around them. That parallel is worth noting. And then there is the question of Messi himself. The Messi of 2014-2015 was 27 years old. He was the best player in the world at his absolute peak, in the prime of a career that most analysts consider the greatest individual career in the history of the sport. The DKO does not have a Messi. What it has is a more evenly distributed quality across three elite players, none of whom is clearly the best footballer on the planet right now. That is a fundamentally different kind of trio. We're in favor of the DKO. A team that does not rely on a single transcendent talent is arguably more balanced, more adaptable, and more resilient when one player has a difficult game. Against the ceiling of what is achievable when you have Messi in his prime, the moments, the performances, the goals that defy logic, is simply on a different plane from everything else. So, could Bayern have built a forward line better than the MSN? The numbers say that this season, the DKO is at an almost impossibly short distance from what the MSN produced in their historic campaign. With the season still running, the gap in direct goal contributions across all competitions is 3. In a season where there are still Bundesliga matchdays and potentially further European fixtures left to play. In terms of raw collective attacking output, the DKO is already in territory that no other forward line has reached since the MSN. That is a fact, and it is genuinely extraordinary, but better is a word that carries more weight than numbers alone can hold. The MSN had Messi at his peak. They had the treble. They had the Champions League. They had the cultural weight of reuniting the three best players in the world in the same team at the same time. Those are things the numbers do not fully capture. What we can say with confidence is this: the DKO is the closest thing to the MSN that has ever existed in club football, and this season is not finished yet. The final verdict? The numbers already say yes, the DKO is operating at the MSN's level in terms of attacking production. But the full story is still being written, and perhaps when it is, we will not even need to compare. Perhaps we will simply recognize that we are watching two of the greatest attacking trios the game has ever produced, separated by a decade, by different leagues, by different contexts, but united by the same rare quality: the ability to make football look like something it was never supposed to be. And that, in itself, is something worth watching.